Namaste. Welcome to the Luna Yoga Shala, located in the beautiful Bahamas. So today we're going to do a Samana Vayu practice. Samana Vayu is the pranic energy located at the navel center. So we're going to be focusing on practices that will stabilize and ground the navel center. This is the energetic space that's associated with digestion, so digestion of food and life experiences. For grounding, it's our center of healing and just feeling stable in life in general. So we're going to work on some poses that will help to release any stuck energy and help you to really reclaim your power in that space. So these postures, this sequence, this practice today is more of this isn't a yin practice, but it's a yin energy. So also known as a lunar energy or moon practice. So we'll be calming the nervous system, grounding the physical body, and you should come out of this practice feeling pranically aligned and mellow. We'll do a lot of twisting in this practice, and twists are sattvic, so meaning whether you have too much energy or you are feeling lethargic, low on energy, it brings you back to center, so wherever you're at. So we'll do quite a few twists to bring you back to center. So this is a traditional Hatha Yoga practice, and it's fairly straightforward. I would say it's all levels. So even if you've never practiced before, you'll be just fine. So I invite you to the practice today. So we'll just start on our backs. We'll get right into it. So we'll start with some dynamic twisting to really stabilize the lumbar spine and the sacral spine. Okay, so starting on your back. Okay, draw your knees into your chest. And just give yourself a little squeeze here. I'm just lengthening out the lower back. Okay, bring your arms to a T. And then we're just going to drop the knees over to the right without letting them touch the ground. Okay, and then bring the head over to the left. On your next inhale, make your way back through center and drop the knees over to the left a few inches off the mat and gaze to the right. Okay, back through center on the inhale. Exhale the knees over to the right, gaze over to the left. Inhale back through center. Exhale knees over to the left, gaze to the right. Make your way back through center. This time we're going to drop the knees all the way down on the ground. Okay. And you can bring your right hand onto your thigh to draw it down to the ground and then gaze over left fingertips. Take a few deep breaths into the belly here. Okay, make your way back through center on the inhale. Drop the knees over to the left on the exhale. Bring left hand onto right knee and gaze over right fingertips. Take a few deep breaths here. Okay, inhale your way back through center. Hug both knees into your chest. Okay, go ahead and roll over onto one side, making your way up, coming into tabletop position. Okay, once you've made your way back to tabletop position, we're going to take some movement here. So go ahead and tuck the toes, and then on your exhale, lift the hips, come back to downward facing dog. Inhale your way back to tabletop position. And then exhale nice and slow, push back to downward facing dog. Inhale your way to tabletop, nice and slow, drawing the belly in. Exhale, downward facing dog, lift the hips. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale, downward facing dog. Hold here for a few breaths. Keep a decent bend in the knees, pointing the hips up to the ceiling. Okay, drawing the chest towards the thighs, and just lengthen out the side body here first. So don't worry about the backs of the legs so much. If you want, you can start to press the heels down to the mat, but if you're pretty tight in the backs of the legs, no worries. Just stay here with knees bent. Okay, make your way forward, coming into high plank position. And then we're going to lower all the way down to the ground. So you might want to drop the knees, give yourself a little support, and lower all the way down. Okay, we're going to continue to warm up the spine so that we really have some nice stability for our twists. Okay, point the toes, ground the tops of the feet into the mat. And on the inhale, lift the chest. Very little weight in your hands, so just use the strength of your lower back. Take a few deep breaths. Okay, drawing the chest forward, length through the back of the neck. Okay, on your next exhale, lower down. Release the forehead or the chin down onto the ground. Okay, we'll take a second round. So on your next inhale, lift the chest and then cactus the arms this time. So really lift the elbows, draw the chest forward. Use the lower back to create lift, maybe feeling a little bit of heat there. Breathing here. Okay, on your next exhale, release down. We'll do one last round. So you can just cactus the arms again if that's what works for you and your back today. Or you can reach the arms forward and really start to engage a little bit of heat. We'll keep the tops of the feet on the mat. Okay, inhale, lift the chest, lift the arms. Reach the fingertips forward, thumbs are up towards the ceiling. Engage the legs. Okay. Exhale, lower down. This is a nice and short one here. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Make your way into tabletop position. And then we'll just take a few rounds of cat-cow to release the lower spine. Okay, dropping the belly, lifting the gaze, and then rounding the spine, pressing away from the mat. Couple more rounds here. Okay, make your way into downward facing dog. And then walk your feet forward to meet your hands. Slowly roll your way all the way up to standing. Roll the shoulders back, come into Tadasana, mountain pose. Okay, we're going to come into a standing twisting series. So hopefully the spine's a little more warmed up. So bring your feet, you can face the long edge of the mat. So whichever direction, and you can still kind of see me. So bring the toes slightly in and the heels slightly out. Stand up nice and tall. Bring your arms out to a T. Inhale, lift the chest, lengthen the spine. Exhale, release right hand down, left fingertips reach up to the ceiling. Inhale your way back up to standing. Exhale, twist, left fingertips reach down to the ground, right fingertips up. Inhale your way all the way back up. Exhale to twist. Inhale back up, nice and slow and controlled. Exhale to release, left fingertips down. Inhale back up. We'll do one more each side. Exhale, right fingertips down, left fingers up. Inhale back up. Exhale to twist. Inhale back up. Okay, this time right fingertips down to the mat. Left fingertips up to the ceiling, and here we hold. So option to keep the right fingertips underneath the chest, or you can grab for your left ankle if you want to go a little bit deeper here. Okay, mind in the navel. So really draw your attention to the navel center, taking a few nice deep breaths into the belly. So really work into that twist. No need to crank your neck up towards the ceiling. You can look down to the ground or straight ahead. We're working more into the sacral and lumbar spine. Okay, so breathing here, expanding the belly, and then drawing the belly in. Okay, set the gaze down. Inhale your way back up to standing. Exhale, release left hand down, right hand up. Reaching the right fingertips, rotating the shoulder up towards the ceiling. Option to grab for the right ankle. Again, focus your mind in the navel. Breathing here. Okay, set the gaze down. Inhale, reach left arm up. And then exhale, hinge from the hips, fold forward, release both hands down. Then go ahead and reach around behind you, clasping the hands together. If that's not accessible for you and your shoulders, you can release the fingertips down to the ground in line with the arches of the feet. If you're clasping the hands, draw the clasped hands towards the back of the head. Bring the weight slightly into the balls of the feet and lift the hips up towards the ceiling. Again, take a few nice deep breaths into the belly. So coming back to center here and bringing your spine back into alignment. Really feeling some nice stability here. Okay, release the fingertips down if they're not already. Bring hands to hips. With a flat back, inhale your way up to standing nice and slow. Release the hands and make your way to the top of the mat. Okay, so we're going to take dynamic pyramid pose. Right foot will stay at the top of the mat, and then left foot steps back. So it's not a super wide stance here. It's not like a, losing my balance. It's not like a warrior stance. It's about halfway. So we'll keep a little micro bend in the front knee to protect the knee joint. Both hips are square to the front of the mat. So if you need to widen the stance outward a little bit, you can. So you shouldn't have to feel like you're on a tight rope and you're wobbly going side to side. Make sure you feel nice and supported here because we're going to take some movement. Okay, so we're going to bring the right hand onto the sacrum, palm facing up, and then left fingertips up to the ceiling. Okay, so get yourself situated here. And then we're going to count the exhale. So we'll increase the exhale so that we're really grounding the mind, calming the nervous system, calming the physical body. Okay, we'll just take one without counting just to get the feel for it. So inhale here, reach left fingertips up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, hinge from the hips, fold forward, release left fingertips down towards the ground. Maybe they touch, maybe they don't. Inhale your way all the way back up, keeping the arm by your ear. Okay, now we count. Exhale for the count of 4, 2, 3, 4. Inhale for 4, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale for 4, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale for 4, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do 2 more rounds. Exhale for 7. Nice and slow and controlled. See if you can stick with the breath. Inhale for 4. Last one. Exhale for 8. Inhale for 4. Okay, this time exhale, release left fingertips down, release right fingertips down. Okay, option here, if you have blocks, if you happen to have those, you can use a block, one block right in front of you or 2, one on either side of the foot. If you don't have blocks, you can bring your hands onto your shins, your shin, singular, if you can't quite reach the ground, or if you can reach the ground, bring both fingertips framing the front foot. Okay, take an inhale here, halfway lift, lengthen the spine, draw the chest forward, and then exhale to fold over that front leg. Take a few deep breaths into the belly. Okay, bring your hands onto your hips with a flat back and then micro bend in the knee. Make your way all the way up to standing. Release the hands, step forward to the top of the mat. Okay, we'll switch sides. So left foot stays at the top of the mat, right foot steps back. Take a moment to adjust yourself. So back foot's at about a 45-degree angle. Square the hips to the front of the mat. Okay, so we're going to bring the left hand, palm face out to the sacrum, and right arm up. Okay, so take a moment here. Find your balance. Make sure you're nice and stable for our movement. Inhale here, reach fingertips up to the ceiling. Exhale, hinge from the hips, fold forward, arm by your ear. Inhale your way back up to standing. Okay, now we count. Exhale for 4, 2, 3, 4. Inhale for 4, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale for 4, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale for 4, 2, 3, 4. Last 2. Exhale for 7. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 8. Inhale for 4. Okay, this time exhale, release right hand down. Release left hand down. Okay, find your stability here. And then inhale, halfway lift, draw the chest forward. Exhale to fold over that front leg. Take a few deep breaths into the belly. Okay, bring your hands onto your hips with a flat back. Inhale your way back up to standing. And then release the hands, step forward to the top of the mat. All right, we are going to take chair pose. So I really like chair pose. I incorporate it in almost all of my classes. I know a lot of people are not a big fan of chair pose. So I really like this one as a core stabilizer. Really important for your balance, for the health of your back, to always be working on your stability in especially your lower spine. Okay, so we'll move into chair pose. So I like feet hips width distance apart. You can also bring toes to touch, whatever feels most stable for you. Okay, on the inhale, deep bend in the knees, sweep the arms up, and then sit the hips low. If you have lower back issues or feel a lot of compression going on right here, you can tuck the tailbone slightly. See if that helps. If this is still too much, or if you have shoulder issues, you can bring hands to heart center. Okay, but keep the chest lifting so that you feel like you're stabilizing, that you're working a little bit in the navel center. Okay. So if you're in full chair pose with the fingertips reaching up towards the ceiling, keep the arms by your ears as best as possible. Okay, so this pose, this is one of those poses where we tend to start to let the mind wander. We convince ourselves that we are uncomfortable, we don't need to be here. That lower mind chatter starts to take control. Maybe it feels really hard. That's okay. Physically, if it feels difficult, it means you're building the strength. Mentally, if it feels difficult, now that's where the pose really starts. That's where you're going to bring your yoga practice into the external world. If you can get through chair pose in your mind, you can get through difficult situations in your day-to-day life. Okay, let's take 2 more breaths. I know we've been here for a while. Okay, go ahead and straighten out the legs. Release the hands down by your sides. Okay, take a little break. Whew, and it's hot here today. All right, we'll come into a forward fold. So bring the feet hips width distance apart, maybe a little wider. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hinge from the hips, fold forward. Keep a little bend in the knees. Release the fingertips down to the ground. You can grab onto your ankles or peace finger the big toes. And then draw the forehead towards the shins. A couple deep breaths into the belly. Okay, go ahead and bring your hands to your hips with a flat back. Inhale your way all the way up to standing. Okay, we're going to make our way onto our belly from here. So you can just come down onto hands and knees and then come onto your belly. Okay, last little bit of sacral strengthening. We'll do shalabhasana. So we'll just do one round. We've done quite a bit of the stabilizing today, and we just did chair pose. So we'll just do one more round. This is a belly down back bend. So it tends to be more grounding than a belly up. So like a bridge pose or wheel. So this will keep the energy down towards the ground. Maybe you're feeling that yin energy of the practice. I tend to, whenever I'm practicing, I'm just kind of like, oh, this is nice and mellow. So maybe you're feeling it. You hopefully will be when we start to move into the mellower postures. So this is the last little bit of strengthening. Okay, so we're going to either clasp the hands at the sit bones, or you can reach the fingertips towards the back of the mat if that doesn't work for your shoulders. This time we're going to lift the chest and lift the legs. Okay, so inhale, lift the chest, lift the legs, keep length in the back of the neck, and breathe here. So fill the lungs, fill all the way into the chest, and then expand into the belly if you can. Okay, keep the legs as parallel as possible, so without letting the legs splay out. Couple more deep breaths, creating lift on each inhale, and then holding that lift on the exhale. Okay, on your next exhale, release down, release the arms down by your sides, and one cheek to the mat. Okay, switch sides with the cheek, evening out the neck. Okay, bring your hands underneath your shoulders, make your way into tabletop position, and then into downward facing dog. Okay, so we're coming into pigeon pose from here. So you'll automatically kind of release through the lower back here. So I like pigeon pose to set up for our seated meditation. So since this is a full practice, we are doing shavasana, and then sitting for breath work, and then meditation. Okay, so I like opening up the hips a little bit. We'll take pigeon pose, bringing the right knee on the outside of the right forearm, dropping it down onto the mat. So you'll bring your right heel into the hip. So more intensity is bringing the shin parallel to the front of the mat. Less intensity is heel by the hip. Okay, if you've gotten into this and this really isn't working for you and your hips, you can take the supine version. So bringing the right ankle on top of the left knee and then grabbing for the back of the leg or the shin. Okay, so that's another option, and that's just a nice gentle hip opener. Okay, so if you're taking your pigeon pose, adjust yourself, take a few moments in the upright position. If you have a block and you want to use a block or something to give yourself support, you can make your way down onto your forearms. You could either bring the forearms onto the block, or you could release your forehead down onto the block. Okay. Maybe you have the space and you release the head down onto the hands or all the way down to the ground. So just take a few moments here to get yourself settled into this posture. Make sure that you're feeling supported. And then continuing to breathe. So notice if you have really tight hips, if you feel shallow in your breathing, and breathing up into the lungs, make sure you breathe all the way down into the belly. Okay, I like to suggest doing a 1-to-1 breath count in this posture, just to keep the mind occupied. So maybe you count inhale for 4, exhale for 4, or even 5 or 6. So in this practice, we use kriyas to set ourselves up for meditation. So this is basically distracting the mind. So in this lineage, it isn't the belief to just stop the mind from thinking, that it's really, really difficult to do that. That you give the mind something to do. So whether it's mantra, so repeating a mantra with your japa practice, or it's using a visualization or a breath count. And so you keep the mind focusing on something. And then when the lower mind is doing that thing, the higher mind can connect with Purusha, with the higher self, with God, with Source, whatever you want to call it. So I like to give that breath work with this posture. So just an easy counting. Keep yourself occupied. Okay, last breath here. I talked almost the whole way through it. I won't talk on the second side. Okay, bring your hands underneath the shoulders. And then make your way out of the pose nice and slow. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, come into downward facing dog. Okay, we'll set up for the second side. So bring the left knee on the outside of the left forearm, dropping it down, adjusting the heel into the hip. Take a few moments here, open up the front of the chest. And then releasing down, getting yourself nice and supported here. So you might be different on this side. The hips are really big joints, so you might feel a little looser or more open on this side. So just adjust yourself accordingly. It actually just started raining here, so it's so beautiful. I love rainy days. So again, just focus on the breath, going inward here. About 5 more deep inhales and exhales here. Nice and slow. Okay, make your way up onto your hands. And then option here, you can come into downward facing dog, or you can sit the hips back onto the heels and come into child's pose. Releasing the forehead down towards the ground. And just releasing out of the lower hips. Just allow yourself for the next few moments to breathe into the back of the body, so expanding into the back of the rib cage. Allow the forehead to sink down onto the ground. Tapping into that grounded energy. Okay, go ahead and slowly make your way up, sitting back onto the heels. Sit the hips over to one side, come into a seated position. So we'll come into a seated twist. So our peak poses in this practice are not handstand or revolved half moon. Our peak poses are generally seated postures because that's where you can get the deepest into the physical body. So our peak pose for this practice is the seated twist. So your sit bones will be grounded into the mat to allow you to twist as deeply as possible into the lowest part of the spine. So we'll start with the right leg straight, and then bend the left knee, step the left foot on the outside of the right leg. Option to stay here. Your hips should be fairly open, but if you don't have the openness in the hips, then stay here. If you do, you can bend the bottom knee underneath you, and then bring the ankle by the hip. Okay, just make sure you're not sitting on the heel. Make sure that both sit bones are firmly grounded into the mat. All right, and then this foot should be grounded onto the floor. Bring your right fingertips behind you. Left fingertips. Inhale, the right arm reaches up. Exhale, bring right elbow to knee, or you can hug onto the outside of the shin, and then twist. Inhale to lengthen the spine. Exhale to twist. Take a few breaths, almost dynamic movement here. Inhale, lengthening the spine, and then exhale, twisting. Okay, keeping that twist from the lowest part of the sacrum, the lumbar spine. Okay, again, not necessary to crank your neck towards the back of the mat. Our focus is not really on the neck. Our focus is on the belly. And then hugging that thigh towards the belly. So when you expand and contract the belly, you can really just feel almost a little pressure here. So really breathing down into the belly, focus in the navel center, releasing any of that stuck energy, anything that you need to get rid of in the Manipura chakra, in cultivating Samana Vayu, and just breathing, using the breath to move deeper into the posture, and breathing deeper into the posture. Okay, on your next inhale, make your way back to center. Pause here. Bring your hands onto your shin. Maybe close the eyes. Okay, then we'll switch sides. So extend the left leg long. Bend the right knee. Step the right foot on the outside of the left leg. Option to stay here, or you can bend the bottom leg underneath you, grounding both sit bones into the mat. Bring your right fingertips behind you. Inhale, left arm reaches up. Exhale to twist. Elbow to knee or on the outside of the shin. Okay, inhale to lengthen the spine. Exhale to twist. Breathing here, drawing the thigh towards the belly. Couple more breaths. Again, keeping it active. Don't get lazy here. It's easy to just kind of fall out of the pose. Keep twisting. Okay, inhale your way back through center. Pause with hands on shin. And then straighten out both legs. We'll come into a seated forward fold. So point the toes up to the ceiling, coming into Dandasana. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hinge from the hips with a flat back, fold forward, grabbing onto ankles or soles of the feet, whatever you can hold on to. You can take a little bend in the knees here if you have really tight hamstrings. So without rounding down too much, keep that length in the spine. And then breathing into the belly. So just continuing to cultivate that lunar force. And then bringing your way back into center. So we've gone poses and postures on either side, left and right. So just finishing by coming back to center, back to balance. On your next inhale, float the fingertips forward, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, release the hands down by your sides. Pause here, sitting upright, nice and tall. Okay, go ahead and bend into the knees. Make your way onto your back. We're going to take Shavasana. So again, I mentioned we'll take our Shavasana and then we'll sit back up for breath work and just a short guided meditation. Okay, so get yourself situated here on your back. Extend the legs long, arms wide by your sides. Take a few breaths to ground the body. Just make whatever adjustments you need to. So wiggling your hips, the shoulders, the back of the head, micro adjustments here to make sure you're completely comfortable. Okay, and then settling into Shavasana, allowing the body to become completely still. And the mind begins to come to stillness, letting any chatter drift away. And the only movement is the gentle rise and fall of the belly. Just allowing yourself to settle into Shavasana for the next few minutes. And begin to bring some awareness back to the breath. And taking a few deep inhales and long, slow exhalations. Bringing some movement back into the body by wiggling your fingers and your toes. An option for a full body stretch. Go ahead and roll your way over onto one side. Just take a few moments here in the fetal position. Significant of moving from corpse pose, shavasana, into fetal position, rebirth. And whenever you're ready, you can make your way up to a seated position. Okay. So just getting yourself situated here. You can sit on a block if you'd like to elevate your hips. I like to sit on a block. Maybe you have a meditation cushion, just to give the hips some space. Especially if I sit for longer periods of time, my legs will fall asleep. So rest your hands on your thighs and sit up nice and tall. Lengthen the spine. We're going to take Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing. So take your right hand and drop the peace fingers down, so the first two fingers. We'll take the thumb to the nostrils, so right at the soft part, at the just above the opening of the nostril is where this thumb will go. And then same thing on the other side with the ring finger. Okay. So I'll guide you through it. We'll take an inhale and an exhale together. So inhale, take a nice deep breath in, keeping the hand by your face, and then exhale completely. Okay, close the right nostril with the thumb. Inhale into the left nostril. Close both nostrils. And then exhale out the right nostril. Inhale into right nostril. Close both nostrils. Exhale left nostril. Inhale left nostril. Close both. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close both. Exhale left. Inhale left. Close both. Exhale right. Okay, continuing on, counting yourself. Inhale into the right, holding at the top, exhale left. And then inhale left, close the top, exhale right. So just moving side to side, silently to yourself, getting into a rhythm. And then whenever you're ready to incorporate a count, we'll inhale for the count of 6, hold, maybe hold for 2, and then exhale for the count of 6. Okay, so this is a very balancing breathwork practice. So continuing with the breathwork that promotes and encourages the Samana Vayu energy. Just moving side to side, continuing to breathe, and finding balance. The two hemispheres of the brain, the two energetic channels that run on either side of the body. So counting, inhale for 6, Hold at the top, maybe for a count of 2, maybe longer if you have it in you, and then exhaling for 6. Inhaling for 6, hold at the top, exhaling for 6. Just continuing on at your own pace. Okay, last couple rounds. And the next time that you exhale out of your left nostril, you can release the hand down onto your thigh. Notice the effects of the breath work. Notice yourself back to balance, stabilizing on both sides of the body, both hemispheres of the brain. Just following the breath in and out through the nose, down into the navel center. Just notice the energy that we cultivated through the practice today. Now imagine all of the solar forces above you. The sun, the stars, the brilliance of the cosmos. It's really tapping into that luminosity, that bright, fiery energy. On your next inhale, draw that energy down through the top of your head into your navel center. And then hold the breath just gently, watching that energy pulse in the navel center. On your next exhale, imagining that energy aflame in the navel center. So fanning that flame with the exhale. Again, inhale, draw the energies from the sun, from the stars, from the cosmos, all the way down through the top of your head into the navel center, and then hold the breath. Exhale to fan the flame, fan that fire in the navel center. Again, inhale the energy down through the crown of the head, all the way down to the navel center. Hold the breath. Exhale to fan the flame. Inhale, drawing all of the energy down through the top of the head, into the navel center. Holding the breath. And then exhale, fanning the flame watching the fire build, burning up any resistances, continuing on with each inhale, drawing the energy down from above into the navel center, holding, and then fanning it on the exhale. So noticing the flame beginning to grow brighter and brighter, burning any resistances, any lack of confidence, giving you healing energy, giving you grounding and stability and confidence and courage. Last couple rounds, really fueling that fire. And then release the awareness on the breath. And just notice the energies circulating in the navel center. Notice the fire that you stoked. Just imagining it whirling like a disc, clockwise rotation, whirling and becoming brighter and more powerful, giving you the courage and the confidence to show up in the world, showing up for yourself and for others. Bring the mind back to the breath. The awareness back to the body. Allowing yourself to reassimilate back into this space. Noticing sounds and sensations around you. Bring hands to heart center. Bow your chin into your chest. Give yourself thanks for showing up for your practice, showing up for yourself. That you can be a better version of yourself for others in your community, in your life. And be a better version for yourself. I thank you for sharing your practice with me. Namaste.